Hi, I'm Paul Montone. I'm joined by Greg Kaminski and Gretchen Gebhardt from Online Learning, and we're here today with Anna Erwert, who is going to be sharing some strategies about providing feedback for students. Anna, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Anna, and I teach in English. I've been teaching online for a long time, since the early aughts, and I'm here to give you some strategies that will help you stay organized, enjoy what you're doing, be faster, and also help your students feel more connected to what you're trying to do.
Wonderful. Anna, what are your strategies and approaches, and what examples can you share with us today?
Okay, I want to start with this idea of why it matters, first of all. We know that we need to give regular and timely feedback, but that's a big ask when the classes are large. And in my field in writing, there's a lot of stuff to respond to. And if I know for a fact that I'm going to be giving comments on something like writing, I have to keep in mind how sensitive that is. When we give feedback, especially in online environments, we want to think about the fact that it's one of the only ways we are communicating with students. And so we can kind of make or break their feelings about themselves in the discipline, in the class. Do they belong here? Can they do it? So I have a rule of thumb with all of these things is to try to start with something positive, to be very specific about the feedback I'm giving, and then to always provide a resource to get more help, whatever it is, whether it's a link in the class or the library or whatever, to never leave someone hanging, right? But that's like a lot. So one of the things I like to use, I'm going to share my screen. This is a cheat sheet. I just make Google Docs for assignments that I assign a lot. And I know from doing it what students are going to struggle with. So I have captured these comments that I have found myself writing over and over again. I cut and paste them into this document. And so then I can simply grab them and throw them onto a document or onto the comment feedback. I don't have to, again, be typing it over and over. It's not that it's not personal because I can still write student's name, make it specific to what they did, take a quote out of their particular work, but I don't have to keep writing it over and over. So it saves me a ton of time. I've also, as you see, I include the compliments because I want to make sure I'm doing that. And then I have those resources already linked. So whichever I want to take them to, I don't have to keep going and finding the library page or going and finding my quote sandwich video. I have it all linked and it's ready to go. So this is a really useful thing to use on stuff like discussions or small low stakes assignments that you're going to be writing a lot of the same feedback. It's not the same as a rubric, which I'm also going to show you now. Hopefully you can see that. A rubric is a very common device. Most of us use something like this in our higher stakes assignments. This is where you say what you're grading on, what you're looking for, and how many points. So I have that too. And that's a static document, right? And you can make it more personal, of course, when you apply it to the assignment. But these little cheat sheets for comments that you say a lot can save you a ton of time and it can really help you stick to that rule of being fast, but also being thoughtful and giving the kind of feedback that students are going to learn from. The last thing I want to show is that I think all of us feel like we have to comment on every single thing that students are doing in our classes. And in discussion, I would just say to fight that impulse because when you're in person, you don't feel like you have to go to every single little group and be like, what are you guys talking about? Can I help? You let them talk, right? You don't run over there and ruin it because you kind of know for a fact that when you do that, they stop talking. So discussion online is a lot like that. And you don't have to be hovering in there and say something to every single thing. But what you can do is at the end of a week, look through the discussions and pull out some pieces like something that everybody was struggling with, something great that someone did, and then resources that you want to direct the students to. You can do that all at once in kind of a digest. And this is an example. This is an email that I sent to my English 204 class. It talks about things that I noticed that they're struggling with, something that I thought they did really well. You can see all the links to the resources that are out there. I email this because I like to remind students the class exists. Online classes, the students may forget about them, they may forget about you. So this is a way of being like, hey, I'm in your inbox, I exist. Remember your class, kind of creating more community and continuity. And then I also put that on the announcements. So it there's like a running record of what's going on. And this makes the class active, more organic, and it saves me from having to reply to every single person in a public way. So you can kind of do this wrap up. And I think people enjoy it, especially if they are the ones that get mentioned for something great. Of course, if there's a question that comes up over and over, you might have to think about the fact that you need to go and create a resource for it, right? You can't just ignore a question that's coming up a million times. So in that way, I think it makes you a better teacher too, because you have a running dialogue with your students. So those are some of my examples that I wanted to share with everyone.
Great. Thanks so much, Anna. I love
Yeah,
the idea about a summary response to students about the assignments and also about sending it to them in two different ways, through an announcement, so they'll see it if and when they enter D2L, and hopefully they enter frequently, but those who don't will be able to receive it right away through email. So that's a great strategy.
yeah, it works really well.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how students have benefited from this type of feedback and this approach?
So I do think it's really important to keep that rule of thumb in mind about being positive, being specific, and then giving resources. And I've done a lot of surveys with students asking, how is the feedback working for you? Do you feel like you're getting enough communication? And they constantly talk about the feedback being really, really helpful. And I think it's because of how I'm trying to do it. It's fast, but I've developed these systems where I can be fast in a way that doesn't kill me. And then I'm making sure that I'm super kind, positive, right? And then specific, and then giving resources. So by doing that, I'm creating a system where students feel, I think, supported in a way that's not just me, but the whole college that's out there to support them. And for online learning, I think that's particularly important because there's this sense sometimes that you're isolated. And I think they really benefit from the idea that the whole college is out there. So I really enjoy that. And then I also think it's really important to consider that we have different kinds of learners. We have people with different language skills, right? We have English learners from all around the world. So varying the way that we give feedback helps anyone at any place in their academic journey or depending on what kind of learner they are to get feedback in the way that it actually works for their brain. So I like to think about trying to vary the way that I give feedback to also max out its potential.
Neat. That's a great idea. And if I could ask a follow-up question, are you able to give this type of feedback to students every time, or do you uh, give some of them detailed feedback for one assignment and then a little more sparse the next assignment a little bit quicker? So just make sure that you're giving kind of equal feedback, sharing throughout the term, giving everybody some detailed feedback. How does that work for you?
Absolutely. I think we have to decide which assignments are the ones that students really need detailed feedback, and that's not all of them, right? And if someone's doing a great job, I do think it's fine if it's a low stakes assignment, like a discussion, to be like, hey, you did a great job on that. I love your positivity, or I love that picture of your dog. You don't have to like take apart the minutia of the assignment itself because it's casual. But on the other hand, for assignments like a draft, I think I need to give everybody detailed feedback. So picking and choosing which assignments that we want to give that kind of detailed feedback is another great way to not overwhelm the student and not overwhelm us.
Thank you, Anna. It's so nice to hear that another instructor struggles with providing feedback in a timely manner and not spending hours and hours and hours trying to give everyone the same level and quality of feedback. So that's really helpful to hear. I struggle with it all the time. So my question for you is, how has this supported or improved your work as an instructor in the online learning environment?
Well, first of all, you don't want to get caught in a rut and thinking that, oh, I said it to them, so that's enough. Like we have students who are constantly evolving. Our students, they're different. And I think that they really do need you to have a lot of tools. Students want fast, they want good, they want it often, and you have to take shortcuts sometimes. But what I'm trying to show you are shortcuts that don't shortchange students. And in that sense, then you can feel really good about these strategies. So I hope these have been helpful.
Nicely said. Thank you, Anna, for your time today and sharing your strategies for providing feedback with your students.
Thanks for having me.